Okay, we're back here with Living for the Outdoors, and just a few minutes ago I showed you how to remove the sweetmeat from your deer. Now we're going to go a step further, and the next thing we're going to remove is the also important back straps. But before we remove the back straps, we're going to take these front shoulders off this deer. So up here we have our back straps where we'll start our cutting, but we want to remove these front shoulders, and I'm going to come backwards here for a quick second, because these front shoulders, I'm going to show you the top part of these front shoulders, is I have them webbed open to get them nice and cold in there to get the heat out of there. They aren't going to permit you to run that back strap the whole way down into the neck, and that's where you want to run it down to make sure you get all that good soft meat off that deer. So we're going to take these front shoulders off, and there's no bone holding that front shoulder in. So just run your blade. I have my semi-stiff boning knife. My front shoulders I'm going to make into bologna, so I'm just going to get them off there, run it into the neck. I'll cut that neck meat away, and I got the first one off. It's that simple. Once again, make a few cuts. Well, you cut the whole way down in the neck. I'm going to be using that meat for my stew meat and for my bologna meat. That's off your deer. And now you'll see, you'll be able to run that back strap the whole way down into the neck and get all that good meat off that deer. So we're going to go back up to the top, and we're going to start making our important cuts. One of the first things I want to show you is, you can see the backbone that runs down through. There's a skin and a layer of meat that runs on each side of this backbone. Mostly it's just a real thick silver skin. What you're going to want to do is, and you'll see how I hold my knife like this, like if I'm going to stab something. To me, I can get my wrist action in there, and I can use some strength when I'm trying to peel this down. You have to be careful. You're going to want to depend on the tip of your knife to do this. And you want to sink the tip of your knife down into that, and you just want to keep your other arm away in your hand because this can slip, and you want to just barely penetrate into that silver skin and that meat, and you want to run it the whole way down, keeping your knife tight to your spine. On this would be my left side, the deer's right side. So now I have that. As you can see, it's peeled away real nice. We're going to do the same thing for the other side, and then I'm going to show you your cross cuts you're going to make and where to make them. Okay, as you can see, I have both sides peeled open. Once again, I'm going to ask you to keep your knife blade close to there, close to the spine, and kind of pushed in. This is a semi-stiff boning knife, like I said, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to remove the meat from the bone, not cut into the meat. This isn't to cut the meat, this is to get the meat off the bone. And you can see, I didn't cut far in, but we'll get a little more off there. But it's kind of peeled open for me now, and that's going to help this. I'll go the whole way down and show you. You see how it's laid open, and I barely cut into it. It just kind of starts falling off the bone once you break that first part of the silver skin. Okay, we're going to move back up, and we're going to get right where, this is your back strap where it comes into your hind quarter. If you can see that, I'll show you on this side. I want you to take your thumb, and I want you to start feeling, and you'll feel a bone where that comes together. Your bone's going to be approximately 2 inches over, and that's the bone you're going to want to work off of. You're actually going to take your knife, you're going to zip it around, and you're going to follow that bone, and you're going to kind of come up in an angle, making sure you can see how that hind quarter comes around. You don't want to come straight across because you're going to lose just a little bit of meat there, which if you do, you can cut that out. But you can see I came at that angle, and you can feel a bone the whole way up there. And that's where you're going to want to ride. And this cut here, you actually want to go the whole way down in. And I ride it the whole way out. And if you can see that good, let me go ahead and... Now the important thing is to get that sweet meat out of there first. Because if you don't do that, you're going to cut that sweet meat in half at this point. So now I have a perfect hind quarter here. And I have all of that back strap from the top of the bone down. It started. I'm going to do the same thing with this side, and then I'm going to show you another cut I make before I start peeling this meat out. Okay, moving on. Now I have both sides. You can see that I have them cut. You can see a perfect hind quarter. I stayed tight to that bone, and I have this back strap started. One of the cuts I'm going to show you now is if you take this back strap and you come to the other side, you can feel where the ribs start. This is a little tricky spot. I want you to take that first rib. I want you to turn your knife around and keep the knife going towards the rib, not towards the meat. And I want you to start, just get that meat started off that rib. That's going to really help you through this process. And then I want you to turn this deer this way. And I want you to take your knife blade. Let me move the camera down. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. You're going to take this knife and you're going to run it down. And you're going to make a slice there. And that's going to help everything peel. Any extra meat you get, you can put into your burger meat. Don't worry, you're not wasting any meat by doing this. Okay, I have that cut done there. And we're going to go back up. And we're going to peel this down just a little bit more. These steps we're doing here are going to pay big when it's time to strip this meat off the bone. This crucial meat. This is the meat that you don't want to mess up. So you want to keep this tight to the ribs and you want to make your cut. And now you can see I can work back in and I can get this meat much easier than just trying to pull it and break it. Let's go ahead and get the other side and then we're going to proceed with peeling this backstrap out of this deer. Okay, at this point we've made all the necessary cuts to start this. And once you get good at this, and you're not explaining it on the video, this will go really fast for you. But you can see this is rib here, this is backbone here, and we got the full backstrap here ready to start peeling. So right now I'm going to start peeling this backstrap down, and we're going to get it out of this deer. One of the places, and I'm going to pull the camera up and show you here, that the meat likes to stick. There's a little sticking point where there's some, I don't know if it'd be ligaments or cartilage or connective tissue, what you call it. But I'm going to get up inside here and I'm going to show you, is right here. This is where everything's going to stick, and it's where the ribs come in with the spine. So you're going to want to make sure that's where you're going to want to take your knife. As you see me peeling this down, my knife is just cutting this little spot right here on every single, where every rib comes into the spine. That's where I'm just going to take my knife and go cut, 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 and slowly bring it around. Don't cut into the meat. Keep your knife pointing this way towards the bone. Don't push hard on the bone. This meat's going to come out very easily. And let me start peeling this away. As you can see, the meat's coming out very easy. Sometimes at this point, when you get into the thicker part of the ribs, you just ride that knife right across the rib cage. Catch where that rib's coming to the bone, and you keep peeling it across and down. There's a rib where it's holding on a little bit. Here you go. I put the knife here, right across the ribs. Put the knife here, right across the ribs. Hold that knife and push that semi-stiff. There's a little bit of flex in there. Flex it out this way. Flex it out that way. Continue down. I would go much faster, but I'm trying to show you on video, and I'm trying to save my fingers. And I work this the whole way down into the neck, and then make my decision on what I want to cut off as stew meat and what I want to use as my backstrap. There's one out, nice long backstrap. We're going to take it over to the table, and in a minute here I'll have both of them out, and I'm going to show you how to clean this up as well. Got this side out, and just to kind of show you, you can see the ribs, you can see that here's the spine, here's the ribs, and we got all that meat out of there. There's going to be a little bit of picking away at here to get some more meat for burger or stew meat, but for the most part, that's how you get them out of there. That's what you're going to want to do. And we're going to go over to the table now, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to start cleaning those up, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. Okay, we're back over on the table. As you can see, we have our two back straps. Here's the first one. The first thing I'm going to do is, this is that layer of skin I was telling you about that's on the ribs that comes the whole way down and around. I'm just going to take that, and a lot of times you can just grab that with your hand and you can peel a lot of that off without even taking a knife to it. And that's the first thing I'm going to do. The bigger the deer, the harder it is to peel. And you can see how clean this is coming already. I'm going to take it with the other side, and I'm going to peel that away too. And look at how beautiful that's looking already. That is one beautiful looking long back strap. Very clean just by peeling it by my hand. But the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to take a fillet knife, and I'm going to stick the fillet knife in here. I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to run the fillet knife down, and I'm going to get some of the silver skin off it so we can really have it good and cleaned up. The most important thing when you butcher, and I am by no means a professional butcher, I'm just a guy who butchers his own deer, you want to have a sharp knife. There's nothing more important than a sharp knife. I'm going to show you. There's this thick skin right here. The side it's really thick on. It's thinner on this side, and you're not going to probably get most of this. You'll have to come back and get this after you run this. But you're going to just stick it under that, and you're going to try to slide it through, and it's going to pop out here. You're going to run it, and you're going to try to get this whole thick side where it was held onto the spine. That's got to go for sure. You don't want to chew on that, and you're going to get the majority of this. This may take a couple runs for you. Sometimes it goes perfect on the first one and you get 90% of it. Sometimes you just get a cut here, however it works out, and just slowly get your knife back under there and clean it off and get this nice and clean. And we're just going to continue. Put a little bit up pressure here. Put the pressure down on the knife. A lot of times now I'll get my finger back into here. I have a little loop there, and I'll pull up on the pressure, and I'll start working that knife and kind of pulling that meat towards me and get that silver skin off there. You can see how well it peeled. Just a little trace of meat there. Now I'll take my knife, I'll strip it off there, and that turned out good. A lot of times if you get a little bit of meat on this side, you can just take your knife, you put it down on the table, and you just pull that meat towards you, and you can strip whatever meat you want right back off there, and then you can throw that into your burger pile. Let me continue cleaning this off. That's a scrap. Once again, sometimes, like I said, you get a little bit of silver skin there. Sometimes I just dip my knife in here, and I got my finger back under this side. I can't cut my finger if it's on this side of the meat, and I'll cut that little bit off there. And as you can see, that's a beautiful looking backstrap. Okay, at this point, I personally, you can see as you come down the backstrap and closer to where it met with the neck, away from the hindquarter, you'll see this little spot here. I personally cut that out and I throw that into my burger or my stew meat. So I'm going to reach over the camera here, and I'm just going to work that off. When I get it down to here, I'm going to cut this off about right there. That's going to be unbelievable stew meat, most of that, and a little bit it's going to be scrap for burger. Okay, there's one very clean looking backstrap. It took a couple minutes to take care of. Just a few minutes ago, that's what we were working with right there, so you can see the difference. At this point, I usually cut them into chunks and I freeze them into portions that I know I'll eat with my kids. A lot of guys will also, they'll take this meat, and I'm going to do an example of a butterfly. Let me grab the knife I like to use for that. And I've cleaned off this edge, of course. You'll take it. Always hold your fingers back when you're cutting and use your guide as your knuckles. And depending on how thick you want your butterfly meat, you'll take it cut down in, not the whole way through, and then on this side, you'll cut it the whole way through. And that's all it is. That's all there is to butterflying out that backstrap to have a nice cut of meat. A lot of guys will do this the whole way through. I usually cut it into chunks. Some of this I'm going to make out of sushi. Some of it I'll do this with later, but I like to freeze this meat, and then I like to portion it out and use it later on throughout the winter and in the spring. This will feed my family for quite a while. Thanks for watching another video, and as always, best of luck in the outdoors.